Hello and welcome back to Beyond Resistance Pod, where we share hard-won insights to build blue power in red communities and start winning. I'm Sarah Schulz.
And I'm Jennifer Austin.
Hey, Jennifer. So it's time to do our regular Fired Up series today. And do you want me to tell you what I'm fired up about?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, all right. So, good Lord,
Everything.
there's so many things. It's like I literally woke up this morning, and before I got out of bed, before I touched my phone, before anything, I just sat there for a minute thinking, what the hell shitstorm is coming today? Like, it's just, and then I was not disappointed because it was a whole bunch of crap about Greenland and all of the
Tariffs.
things. Yeah, yes, all of the things. The videos coming out of Minneapolis and like it's just horrible. So like what am I not fired up about, I guess is like a better question, but the thing that I keep coming back to, honestly, just like at a high level is like we we keep, because of like technology and social media and just video and this whole like 24/7 news cycle, like we literally see people being murdered on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
see
like
it.
the thing you posted the other day about humanity, people are not meant to see this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're not meant to see. I mean, you and I are in a couple different chat groups or whatever, and like within like less than an hour of Renee Good being murdered, we had seen the video of like at least one angle, and then over and over and over again, multiple angles, multiple ways, breaking it down, where his feet, like looking at the gun. And then it was the video of like from the vantage point of the shooter, of her and her last words. And then and it's just like over and over again. And like we had, conversations about Charlie Kirk and all of that, but that was the same thing. Like we literally saw him get killed, and not to mention the horrific videos out of Gaza and like witnessing a genocide with our own eyeballs every single day. So I'm just like, I'm fired up about all the things. And that one, I just keep coming back to because like my kids had seen the videos, of course. And like, it's just like the collective trauma of witnessing these atrocities, literally witnessing them. Like, what does that do to us? Like, what does that do to our community? Like our sense of community, the way that we look at each other, the being desensitized to things. I mean, these are actual incidents. And yet I feel like I shouldn't like look away, right? Because I feel responsible to like bear witness to it. I don't know. It's just like, it's rough. It's rough right now.
It is. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but I broke my tooth.
Oh.
My back tooth, I broke a piece off of it. I've got to go to the dentist and get it fixed. I've never had a cavity, but they've been telling me you're grinding your teeth, you're clenching your jaw. And I think it's just getting worse. And I think it's this constant trauma. It's this constant like, oh my God, what's going to happen today? Like all that stuff. I mean, I think we're all just like this big, huge, stressed out society.
Yeah. To what end? Like, that's the thing, Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm fired up about among all the things. But like this undercurrent of like, what the fuck, like times are we living in? Because like, I know when I was a kid, I did not ever in real time almost see somebody get murdered, thankfully, or expect to see that. And then to see it over and over again. It's just.
Yeah, because they didn't show a lot of that stuff on the news.
Right.
Like even if they had recordings of it, or they would warn you ahead of time. I mean, probably you are like me that you saw the Challenger,
Yeah.
the shuttle explosion, but I think that's the closest thing probably most people
Yeah.
our age would have gotten to at that time.
Yeah. I mean, I think like there's the Rodney King
Mm-hmm.
beatings, like in the night beating in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't like right away. Like that's because of like our technology, right? So we didn't
Yeah.
see the Rodney King thing like literally an hour later
Mm-hmm.
before there was like any kind of collective like interpretation of what was going on or
Yeah.
resolution to it. Like we're seeing things in real time that are horrible.
Yes.
I don't know. That's what's on my mind today.
It's not doing anything good to our brains. Put it that way.
No, that's right. That's right. It's certainly
Well,
not.
I am fired up about something a little more positive.
Oh, good.
um,
That's
Good. Yeah.
good.
Okay. So you and I have been interviewing candidates and talking to candidates, and I've got all sorts of different people lined up to be on the pod. So I'm researching them
Exciting.
and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And then also just we have a special election here to fill
Hmm.
a seat in the Midland Bay City Saginaw area. So when we helped create that district, we had to find somebody, talk somebody into running for that seat.
That's right.
And then
Yep.
this time we have six people, five or
Six.
six people
Yeah.
running to be the Democratic nominee of this seat. Which is just a testament to like all the work we've done and that we know a lot of these candidates, and I think that they all have wonderful things about each of them. You
Yeah.
guys have heard, our listeners have heard some of them. We had Shedrick and Pam and Serenity on the pod, and there was a couple others that we didn't end up being able to schedule time with, but they all have something good about them. And it's making me just really hopeful.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to different people on threads and discovering new candidates all over the country, people that are like, I'm running in this red district, no chance of winning,
Hmm.
but we're never
Hmm.
gonna win if we don't
Hmm.
run. So I
Hmm.
am just so hopeful with the fire and the fight that's inside of so many people right now. And that's just really giving me some days it's the ability to go on, because there are days when I was like, I just want to crawl back in my bed, put the covers over my head. I don't want to do this today. I just don't want to do this today. Which brings me to another point. We have on the pod today, we have Callie Scales, who is running for the Michigan State House District, 5th District. And we had an absolutely fabulous interview with her.
Yeah.
You guys are going to see and hear that next. But it was just so fabulous. And people like Callie give me hope for the future and
Mhm.
excitement about candidates. We don't get to vote for Callie. She's
Yeah.
not our district. But for those of you in her district, I'm so excited for you guys to get to know her and get to vote for her if you so choose. But
Yeah. Callie's
that's gonna be
district
awesome.
is south of us, down in the kind of Oak Park, Ferndale sort of area.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a wonderful conversation that I know you all are going to love coming up next. But you're right, like, and especially in these times that are so, divisive and dark, the fact that we have these amazing candidates with all these wonderful backgrounds. I agree. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have an embarrassment of riches in our
Mm-hmm.
community with all of these candidates running on the Democratic side for our state Senate special election. And they're all so great. And so that is something worth being fired up about in a
Yeah.
really positive way, because I think like, if from out of all of this comes a new kind of class of leaders,
Mm-hmm. And
who
I won't
are,
say generation,
yeah,
because I've seen people that are, Gen X like us, millennials. I guess technically there aren't as many Gen X in Congress and whatnot, because they're all boomers.
yeah.
So maybe it is a new generation, but yeah, like there's Gen Z, there's millennials,
Yeah.
there's Gen X. Like A whole
So good.
class of people coming out that are ready to fight.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm glad you're fired up about that and that it was something positive. We can just kind of hang our hats on. And yeah, stick around for the conversation with Callie because I think you're gonna really love hearing from her and her perspective and her background. And it was a great conversation. So that's up next.
Hey everyone, today on the pod, I would like to welcome Callie Scales. She was born and raised in Metro Detroit, and she currently resides in Oak Park with her wife, Sarah. She's a writer, performer, and storyteller. She's also a host, producer, and co-creator of the first nationally syndicated radio show talking about esports and competitive video gaming. She's been very public about her transition in order to help others deal with gender dysphoria and become their true selves. She's an avid fundraiser and supporter of transgender and LGBTQIA plus rights. And she's also a Democratic candidate for Michigan State House 5th District, which encompasses Oak Park, Royal Oak Township, and Northwest Detroit. So welcome to the pod, Callie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
Welcome,
wonderful to be
Callie.
here.
That's awesome. So is there anything that I didn't list in that bio that you really want everybody to know about you?
I tell you, it's just wild listening to like all the cliff notes of my life there and being like, oh, I've done some cool things in my life, actually. This is nice. I need to have someone follow me around and just like herald my entrance into places like that. That's outstanding.
That would be awesome.
I had the pleasure also of working with Sports Illustrated to create Esports Illustrated, and I was their first editor-in-chief as well for that. So yeah, I've gotten to do a lot of very, very cool things, and notably a lot of things that are not politics in my life before now. So yeah.
Honestly, that's the best preparation.
As it turns out, kind of, yeah. Like everything I've done in my life has been about encouraging people to tell their stories and finding ways to, describe them and be interesting and entertaining with them. And those are a lot of really good skills for a politician to have as it works out. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like finding those through lines, right?
Yeah.
From like your regular life to your political life, because like that's what voters want, is like real people with real stories that, have the perspective to be able to represent them well. So it's cool to hear your story.
We're all tired of, people, someone gets up behind a microphone and says, I understand you. And you just sit there going like, but do you really?
Yeah.
That reminds me of our current state rep, whose name I shall not say. He's like a silver spoon, like literally born a silver spoon in his mouth. Like his dad ran for governor and was the secretary, the attorney general, right? And he once said in a forum something like, I understand what it's like to like pay a mortgage every day, and everyone was like, do you?
I think I yelled out, well, how do you know how to pay a mortgage?
Well, and also that's interesting that that's your bar when most people these days would love to be able to pay a mortgage and they're stuck paying rent.
Exactly.
My 2 adult children cannot buy houses.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up, my mom was a small business owner. My dad was a school bus driver. I did not come from money. Let's be very clear about that. Very blue collar background for me. Summertime, and my mom ran a dance school, which was also off during the summers, just like when school was. And then my dad was a school bus driver, so he was off in the summers. Summertime was a little thin in my childhood home.
Yeah, but I'm sure it had potential to be somewhat magical, right? To have, your family around you so much and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting because, my mom's dance school, obviously that ran in after school hours. So she was basically gone from 3 to 9 almost every night. So I barely saw my mom growing up. And then in the summertime, suddenly she was there all the time. And we had a lot of chances to get close in the summer. And those were magical times.
A different like pattern to your year. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you for running. I say that to every candidate, no matter what they're running for, no matter what side they're on, because it takes a lot to make the decision to kind of step into the arena, especially these days. And giving voters choices is so important, be it in the primary or the general, right? We need to have choices and options so that we can all kind of shape the way that change kind of moves in our state and in our country. So thank you so much for doing that. As a former candidate, I have some unique understanding of like what it takes to make that decision. And I appreciate it.
Well, believe me when I tell you that the thanks goes to my wonderful wife, who is making sure the bills get paid and things like that while I gallivant around and try to run for office.
We both have very supportive spouses that, in Sarah's case, supported her while, running for office. Mine is just very supportive of the things I do. But yes, supportive spouses are extremely important.
Yes. So thanks to your wife, Sarah. Also, I believe she spells her name correctly. So that's also
she does. H on the end. Correct. Yes.
With the H on the end.
We're very partial to Sarahs around here. We've met a lot of great Sarahs lately, but those with an H, extra special.
It's funny. When I was picking my name and trying to decide what name I wanted to go by, it very nearly was Sarah. That was almost what I picked. And the only reason I didn't is because I have a cousin, Sarah. Because when you're choosing your name, it just turns into a game of why do I hate this name, or why does this name not work for me? But yeah, and I'm like, every day I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because if I had met Sarah then, like, I don't know if I could date someone with the same name as me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work. Like, it's such a small thing, but I feel like that would be so confusing.
Yeah, for sure. We have some friends in the area who are a married couple, and they're Jacob and Jacob.
See, that's gotta be wild, though.
I know it is for them and for all of us. Which Jacob are we talking about?
Like, someone has to like agree to take the nickname, right? Someone's got to be Jake. Like, which one is going to be?
I don't think they are. I think they're both Jacob. I don't know. They've been able to make it work so far.
I love that for them.
Well, we're speaking of stories. We've been looking at your website and other things, and just kind of figuring out kind of the campaign you're running. And one quote from your website kind of jumped out at us, and I just want to read it really quickly and then ask you about it. So the quote is that you shared in your website: like so many, I grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance every day in class, and I was sold a bill of goods that has not lived up to. I'm running for office because I know in my heart that the most important words in the pledge are the final two: for all. Oh my gosh, I literally got chills as I was reading.
I did too, and I got chills reading it, but then so when Sarah said it again, I was like, oh, I really do love that.
It's so moving. And I just love that you're putting that statement out there so strongly. I wonder if you could elaborate more on that and about how that connects to why you're running for State House.
Yeah. So I think, over the past 10 years, ever since the surgence of MAGA and all of that, one of the cruelest things that I think comes out of that is how much something like the American flag feels like it's been co-opted away from people on the left, or even people under center at this point. It makes me so sad that if I'm driving around and I see someone in a truck with an American flag on it, I'm, instead of thinking, oh, a patriot, or oh, a fellow American, I think, oh, I'm probably not safe around that person. Like, that is heartbreaking. And I think it's brutal that something so fundamentally American has been co-opted. And the Pledge of Allegiance feels much the same thing. I mean, the under God in the Pledge of Allegiance was a dog whistle forever. And the
I refuse
idea
to say it.
And that's the thing. I don't, because to me, I refuse to have anything else taken from me. I feel like I should be able to say the pledge and mean it and still believe in it. But there is a bill of goods that is inherent in that pledge that all kids had to say growing up that is not being lived up to, and that is for all. You cannot say the Pledge of Allegiance and then say rights for me but not for thee. It doesn't work that way. It's for all or it's for no one. So make your choice on that. And I think that is a very pertinent thing, because so much of what's in the Pledge of Allegiance I so strongly agree with, and I so strongly believe in, that I will not stand for the hypocrisy of us not then living up to it. If we're going to say it and we're going to make that our pledge to this nation, then we better do it. And as far as running for Michigan State House goes, a day might come in the distant future where it's a higher office than that. But I look around, I love Oak Park. Originally my wife and I moved into Oak Park in 2018, 2019, right before COVID. And we fell in love with this area. We fell in love with the people here. We fell in love with the sense of community. We fell in love with just everything about it, honestly. And when I started thinking about where did I want to run and where did I want to get involved, because I had 7 years ago, I had no interest in getting in politics. I would have very happily just lived my entire life without ever touching it. But now you look around and it's like, okay, well, I can either, stand up or shut up. So let's do something. And the state house seemed like a logical place. I was originally actually going to start with the school board in the area, but when an opportunity run for state house popped up, I asked my campaign manager, hey, would I be crazy to do this? And she goes, yeah, but that's what it takes, so go for it. And that was the genesis, basically.
It's a reason to do it, not a reason not to do it.
Right, exactly. I mean, you have to be a little bit crazy, but you have to be a little bit crazy to do half the stuff that I did in my life. I dropped out of college to pursue podcasting. Like, that was crazy. I went into a radio office and said, hey, you should let us talk about video games on your airwaves. That was crazy. Like, I'm no stranger to crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes the craziest, wildest ideas are the best and the most rewarding in the end.
Yeah. And it really has been all the way up and down. I used to tell people who wanted to get into podcasting, the day you feel comfortable is the day you've stopped caring. You should always be feeling a little nervous and a little uncomfortable, because that means you're still pushing your boundaries. That means you haven't settled and gotten comfortable. And so as I'm going out here on the campaign trail, believe me, there's a lot of days where I do not feel comfortable and ready for it, but that's good. You shouldn't ever feel comfortable. You should always be pushing yourself.
Yeah, so
I love
true.
that.
I think that you talked a little bit about hypocrisy and that whole like for all, and I think a lot about like so much cognitive dissonance going on. People just walking around saying the things like I'm super patriotic, but I doing the things like I don't believe that these citizens should have the same rights as me, right? So like how do they reconcile? And I always wonder, like, how does somebody who holds all that cognitive dissonance put their head on their pillow and go to bed at night? I don't think I could do that, so unreconciled.
I think one of the things that people get trapped in the idea of is there's so much tribalism that goes into politics, and there is any tribe that you become part of, there are expectations of your belief system and your behaviors. And sometimes the expectations of your behaviors will clash with your beliefs, but to fit in with your tribe, you have to act on those behaviors. And I think there are a lot of people in this country who have gotten themselves into a position of, now I have to be right, because the alternative is that I'm a monster.
Yeah.
And I think there are, for some people who are so far down the gambler's fallacy at this point, that they're all in. They have to be right.
Yeah.
The cards have to come up aces for them at this point.
100%.
And I think there is a point that we're going to reach where some people are going to look at this and go, hey, we're like one step away from goose stepping here. Like, maybe I am on the wrong side of history right now. And I think we are going to reach that point. There's a great theory in biology and in anthropology about the extinction burst, wherein a group that is on the verge of extinction will suddenly explode in population because they are literally fighting for their existence at that point before the extinction finally happens. And not to say that necessarily applies to a political belief, but it sometimes kind of does apply to a political belief. And I think in many ways, MAGA might be part of an extinction burst.
I love that. That's a hopeful thing to think.
It's
Kelly,
nice to think about.
I've for sure had a lot of people talking about the extinction burst of patriarchy, and like, I'm not sure it's here yet, but I think that's all tied together. Patriarchy and MAGA are very much tied together. So I'm not convinced yet, but I'm willing to help it along if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Give it a little nudge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get on board.
Okay.
So another quote from your website. I feel like we're just quoting from your website, but okay. So I told Rachel Howard this last week. She has a wonderful website. She's running for U.S.
I
Senate.
love Rachel.
You
I've met her a few
also
times.
have a wonderful website, and
Thank
I
you.
look at a lot of websites. So far, you and Rachel are the best, just so you know.
Thank you.
But another quote you had was all of these experiences. Well, this was somebody else putting this on, this wasn't your words, but this was describing you.
They were my words, just talking about myself in the third person. It's
yeah,
fine.
I know.
We
Us
can
too.
pull
I
back
have
the
to
curtain
talk
and
about
see
us
how
in
the
the third
sausage was
person all the
made. It's fine. We all know. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Did you do this thing where you're like, I wrote this really great thing about me. Would you say it out loud for me, please?
Yeah.
So that I can quote you in my campaign.
Yes, exactly. Here's what I would like for you to say. No,
Yeah.
I unfortunately have not had to go that far, but yes, there's definitely like those moments of like, oh, like someone will say something nice about you, and you're like, oh, I wish you could have said it a little bit differently.
Right. Exactly.
Could you just switch it a little?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Can I paraphrase you?
So all of these experiences have helped to shape Callie as someone who believes, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that everyone is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. She believes that the exact purpose of government is to protect the meek from the powerful, and that there can be no true equality without equity. Once again, those words, like I read those and I was just like, oh, my little heart's a pitter-patter right now. I love this so much. But do you think that our government currently or historically has lived up to that idea, that they should protect the meek from the powerful? And if not, what would you do to ensure that we become that kind of government?
So there's a few parts to that question. I'll break it down. Do I think our government currently and historically lives up to that? It depends on when we're talking about in history. The difficult thing of talking about, a couple hundred years of history is you always have to talk about things in the context of the time. So whereas I don't know that, we would look at, 1930s or 40s America as a beacon of progressiveness in modern styles, but the idea that we were passing the New Deal in that era was incredibly progressive. So in some ways, yes, we were at that time. Also, Black people couldn't vote. So in other ways, we most definitely were not any kind of beacon of progressiveness. When I say that quote, I always think about the idea, I haven't grown up in a poor family, and I'm not going to say like we were dirt poor or anything. We weren't. We got by and we did well enough for ourselves. But having done that, there is an idea that we are all playing a game. Every person who lives in our society is playing a game. And we all know in our hearts, we feel it in our bones, that game is not fair. We are not playing by the same rules. Someone who doesn't have health insurance is not playing by the same rules as someone who has great health insurance. Because for one of them, a cancer diagnosis or a broken bone or even a trip to the ER could mean the difference between eating or not. Whereas for the other one, it could mean, an inconvenient afternoon. We're not playing by the same rules.
Or even on the same game board for that matter.
In a lot of cases, yeah. And the only reason we don't turn to anarchy and flip the table over is because we believe deep down that there is a force out there that is meant to be kind of pushing down on the scale and keeping it from becoming so inequitable that there's no point in playing anymore. For some people, that force is religion. For some people, that force is going to be charity. For me, that force is exactly what the government is there for. The government is there to be the reason that we don't all just go back to living on the savannas and hunting each other with clubs. We're supposed to believe that the government is there to balance the scales enough that we can all play a somewhat equitable game, or at least one that's equitable enough that it's not worth it for us to get out the guillotines. I think that our country does not do a great job of that right now. I think one thing that the right has done an incredible job of over the last 20 years is their messaging. They are so staunch and so firm that they have successfully moved our center to the right over the course of 20, 30, 40, in some cases 50 years now. And we need to be kind of rigid right now, stop ceding ground on every little thing towards the middle. And we need to push for, frankly, we call it the New Deal. It's almost 100 years old at this point. When we talk about like that is the old deal. We need a new deal. They're like, we, in the face of things like AI, in the face of things like Medicare for all, in the face of so many of the problems that we are facing right now, there are too many people out there who are being left behind, and the system is not built anymore to protect them. That needs to start changing. And as a candidate for Michigan House of Representatives, that is to be a legislator, to be on the forefront of starting to create new legislation. Obviously, I'm not going to go to Lansing and pass the New Deal in the U.S. House, but I can start pushing things in that direction. I can start pushing us towards some progressive reforms that might have us prepared to deal with some of the issues of the next 50 years instead of still dealing with issues of the last 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. That's something I've talked a little bit about on social media is like, we need, the people's New Deal or the American New Deal or their citizens New Deal, whatever we want to brand it. I don't care, but we need that new progression of responsibilities for the government, putting certain people first. And another thing about the Republicans, they have been very good about their message and their branding, specifically convincing a whole class of Americans that their enemy is not the billionaires that are keeping them poor, but the neighbor next door who is also poor and maybe a little poorer than you.
Yeah, exactly. The idea that, your neighbor down the street, because they get a subsidy on their health care credit, is the reason you can't afford a vacation or the reason you can't afford whatever it is, when that's ridiculous, right? Like, they're always like, I don't want my taxes going towards, stop. We all agree as a group that our taxes are going to be spent for the betterment of our community. That is the purpose of taxes. And you're right. It may not go towards everything that you want it to go towards. Guess what? I don't want my taxes going towards funding a new fighter jet, but the vast majority of them do. And, we have lived there. There's the old saying, guns or butter, from the, I guess, 1800s. And we have been focused on guns for a long time in this country. We could use some more butter, I think.
Butter. Yeah.
That reminds me of an MLK quote that I've heard before, but I saw it today and I'm not going to get it exactly right. But it basically, any country that spends more on guns or on defense than feeding its own people is a country that's losing its moral center.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like, it comes to a point where, yes, you are able to protect your country from what? Like, if you're not protecting it from the struggles that are building within it, then what's the point? Like, also, you don't have to protect your country as much if you stop pissing off all your allies. Just a thought.
Good point.
We've only been
started on the news of the morning when it comes to pissing off our allies. Holy
yeah,
shit.
We've only been close allies with Canada and Mexico for 200 years. I don't see why that has to keep going.
I know, right? It's been a good run.
Yeah, it's been a good run.
Yeah, whatever.
What? Screw them. Love it.
Yeah. Well, that whole guns and butter thing just gave me a flashback to like 9th grade economics class. So
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
I actually don't remember that one, but yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know why I remember that specifically. Like my old economics teacher talking about guns and butter and like a graph. Like I remember graphs and all of that stuff. Well, we've talked a bit about progress, and I just found out recently that you were responsible for the unanimous passage by the Michigan Democratic Party at our last convention for a resolution to support trans rights and dignity. So first of all, thank you for that work. Not only like the outcome of that work, but for being willing to like wade through the like quagmire of bureaucracy that is the Michigan Democratic Party and all of those processes. So it really takes a lot of tenacity to get to that point. So thank you so much for all of that. I wondered about that experience, right?
Yeah.
And what you could tell us about how that experience has maybe prepared you in some ways to work in the Michigan House, to be an elected official in that capacity and to advance the priorities that you and your voters care about.
Yeah. Let me start. I'll make a quick a correction on that. I passed it unanimously through the resolutions committee to be presented to the Michigan Democratic Party House at convention.
Apologize.
No worries. I just I don't want to have someone being like, that's not what happened. So no. So I joined the Michigan Democratic Party last January. So when I say I'm new to this, that's kind of what I mean. Like I say, for the longest time, I had really no interest in being part of politics. It was after the election in 2020, in late 2024, someone in my community said, you should think about running for office, because now more than ever, we're going to need more voices that are trans out there and speaking. And Michigan has never elected a trans official before, so you should think about it. And so I said I would think about it. Fast forward to Inauguration Day, and I've got to listen to that windbag give his speech. And I
couldn't
sat
listen to it.
I did. I forced myself through it. And I sat there going, all right, I'm pissed. Fair enough. Let's do it. And so I went and I joined the Oakland County Democratic Party that day and the Michigan Democratic Party that day. And the very next meeting of the Oakland County Democratic Party, they were asking for volunteers to serve on the resolutions committee. And so I knew nothing about that. I didn't know. I barely knew what that meant, but no one else was raising their hand. So I put my hand up, and myself and another person were selected. She was the main. I was the alternate for it. And so we both got to serve on the resolutions committee. And I'm sitting here still like looking up like, what does a resolutions committee do? And so I get on for the resolutions committee meetings, and I'm looking through all the resolutions that we're going to go over and reword and vote for. And I'm sitting there like, there's nothing in here for trans people. Like, at a time when we need it really, really badly, I feel like we could have a resolution about that. So I drafted one and wrote one up. It was like it was like 4 hours before the committee was set to meet. So I drafted one up really quickly, went through, I was sitting there thanking God. I'm like, oh, thank God for all my years in journalism and writing, because I can do something like this quickly now. And I submitted it, and there was a trans supporting bill in there, but it was one sentence. It was just, we believe that trans people have a right to happiness. Like, that was like the whole thing. So I was like, okay, we're going to, and that's the only reason that we were allowed to hear it, because it had already been submitted. So I went, okay, I'd like to put a motion to replace that text with this text that I wrote, which was mine. And it was unanimously voted up and went ahead to the convention, which was awesome, especially for my first time doing that sort of thing. And what I have come to learn about so much of the way political parties work over the last year is 90% of it is raising your hand and saying, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, there is not a whole lot you can't learn doing it in the political party. You don't, contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to have gone to legal school or any of that. Most of the time, you just have to be willing to say, I'll do it. And if there's nothing else I took from my parents, is that I'm not afraid of a day's hard work. I am not afraid to say, okay, and I'm not afraid to look like an idiot while I learn either. Like, I've spent my entire career performing. I look like an idiot all the time. It's almost my job. So I'm not afraid to look silly. I'm not afraid to look stupid while I figure it out. And I'm not afraid to put the effort in. So if there's anything that I have taken from my experiences over the first year, same thing with, I'm the chair of the LGBTQIA rights committee, not because I'm more qualified than the next person, but when they said, is anyone willing to chair this committee? I went, all right, I don't know how to chair a committee, but I'll learn on the job. Sure. And that has been my first year is learning this. And I'm happy to say that now, having more experience with it, I'm not learning so much on the job anymore. But I think if there's anything I can bring to the Michigan House, it is a sense of fairness. It is a sense of, we have to be willing to help a person. It is hard to help everyone. I acknowledge that, but it's not hard to help someone. And we have to be okay with helping someone on the process, on the road to helping everyone. People like to think that being progressive or being left leaning, whatever you want to call it, they like to think that it's a status that you get to, like you get to it and it checks off and it says, congratulations, you are progressive now. And there's no such thing, right? Like you never reach a point where you say, and I did it, I made it.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of being progressive is just being someone who looks at the new situation, because it changes all the time, and says, okay, what can we do to help? What can we do to fix this problem? It's like the endless, you can never be perfect, but you can always pursue perfection. Like every day there are new problems that we as a people face, and you just need to have that mindset of, all right, let's handle the next challenge and work on the next thing. Yeah. We are the big tent party, and so a lot of the times we have disagreements about what we should work on first, but we have to work on something, so let's move it forward. Right now, it just happens to be maybe we shouldn't get shot by our own, police forces.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Doesn't seem like a big ask.
Yeah. What you're saying resonates with me so much. I'm sure, Jennifer, you too. We're actually in the middle of a pretty hotly contested primary battle up here because we have a special election for state senate here in our district. And so this concept of like, because we're in the primary, this concept of like who is actually progressive and who is the most progressive, and like we're having this like pedantic argument about in a purity test kind of way about who gets to have that label or not. And like all that's going on in this like party, insider space, when the voters just care about like, how can you help me pay for my medical like prescriptions? Like,
yes.
Have you seen the cost of beef lately? It's through the roof. I haven't had a steak all year. Like that's the stuff that voters care about. But sometimes Democrats get all wrapped up in this, like, what's the definition of progressive and who gets to be progressive, and there's like check boxes, yes or no or something, and a progressive scorecard, and that just doesn't do anybody, especially our voters and our citizens, any service.
Yeah. So I think, like, listen, when things are good and when the world's not actively on fire, if you want to start getting pedantic about, who's the better of, two goods, I'm thrilled to get to a point where we can argue about who's the better of two goods. I would very much like to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I miss that era.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to have that kind of time to like.
Who am I kidding? I'm a millennial.
That's
I've
all
never lived in that era.
No, and we don't have a whole lot of that either. But
no, Gen X and millennials, we haven't had a ton of that in our lifetimes. But I think so. I'm running my campaign. I call it Back to Basics, AEIOU: autonomy, education, inclusivity, opportunities, and unions. Those are the 5 things that I'm running on. I was told get it down to 3, but I refuse. I have 5 things that I believe in, and I stand by those things. And I get asked a lot, why isn't the economy your E? The economy is the big one. That's the one that's going to get you votes. That's the one that people care about. And my only issue with running on the economy is that you can't write a bill. Like, if I get elected, I can't go to Lansing and write a bill that says the economy is going to be good this year. Because if you could do that, I'm pretty sure they would just do that every single year and never have to worry about getting reelected. The economy being good, all that actually means is that money is moving around. Like, a good economy just means that money is moving quickly from place to place. That's all it really is. And so if you want that, you have to create the scenarios where people feel comfortable spending money. And when people feel safe in their own autonomy, when people can get a good and affordable education that isn't putting them miles behind in debt, when we are at our most inclusive and we feel safe going out, that we're not going to be arrested by ICE or something like that, when we have opportunities for young and old to not just get ahead, but to thrive, and when there's a good, strong union at our back to protect us and to protect those values, that is when your economy is strong. If you want a strong economy, you have to create the conditions for it. And that's why I'm running on those 5 things.
I love that.
Well, you skipped my next question.
Oh, my bad. My apologies.
No, that's awesome. You did that's exactly what I wanted to hear from the question. Just checking it to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of it. Like, we just wanted to know more about that, and like, and the hope that how that's going to help people that you represent, and you pretty much just outlined it.
Yeah, I think if you want the economy to strengthen, you have to create scenarios where people aren't, first of all, feeling like I can't go anywhere, because guess what happens when you don't go anywhere? You don't spend any money. Like that's the first thing that you start is you start saving money when you think tomorrow it could be doomsday. So you start putting together, your savings plans for what if I need to flee the country? I had to have that conversation with my wife as a trans woman a few years ago, where we started putting away a savings fund for if we need, if the Gestapo shows up and we need to go, we have some money set aside to do it, where that could be money we are either investing or purchasing things with normally. That hurts the economy. Too many people base the economy now on what the stock market looks like, and the unfortunate reality is so few people have the finances to play in the stock market at this point that it's no longer a very good representation of our economy.
I don't believe the stock market anymore anyway, because it used to be it would like have drastic major changes in reactions whenever anything happened. And over the past year, Trump has done some incredibly dangerous things and it doesn't react to him. So to me, it's all just somebody somewhere deciding what they want. And they've decided that, well, we can't have him destroy the economy by having the stock market crash because of these crazy things he's doing. So we're just going to let it, let it go.
That's the issue. So much of the wealth and so much of the financial power in this country now is in such a small percentage of the, I guess we'll say, decision-making minds at this point that, yeah, if one of them or a handful of them don't budge, then nothing really happens in the stock market. And that's a bad place to be. That kind of consolidation of wealth is very dangerous. But it's the reason that, like, someone says, oh, the stock market's doing great. That's awesome. I can't afford a steak. I can't afford some ground beef. I'm using pork again tonight because it's the only thing I can afford to buy. It's no longer a reflection of the health of the average person in this country. And again, that sucks. Like, I wish I could come on the show and have more good news for people. I really do. But I'm not saying anything that we don't all know and feel when we look around right now.
But I think the good news, though, is that people like you are willing to run for office. That people like you and others across the state and the country are like, even in the middle of just this ugly time right now, you're, with everything that's at stake, including your own personal health and safety, that you're willing to like do it for the sake of your ideals, all of our collective ideals. I mean, that to me is some good news.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. When I first came out, I was still doing the radio show at that time. And, one of the decisions I had to make very early on was, am I going to be public about this transition? The benefit of radio is I can be off camera. I don't have to be visible. I just have to use my same voice. Am I going to be public about this or am I going to be private? And I gave it a lot of thought. And ultimately, I decided so much of my life has been performance and putting myself out there. And this is a part of me. So if I'm going to try to remain my authentic self to people, I have to be public about this. So I was. And there were a lot of days where I kind of regretted that decision. There were a lot of days where you see some horrific things said to you where you just go like, how can you say that about another human being, like, and not feel anything? Like, that's crazy. And then I'll never forget it, though. It was like 5 years later, and or maybe even probably 7 years later, and I got a message on Twitter. It was when Twitter was still Twitter and we could all go there and not hate ourselves. I got a message on Twitter. No, God. Yeah. I abandoned ship on that one a while ago. But yeah, I got a message on Twitter from someone whose name I didn't recognize. And they said, hey, you don't know me. I'm sorry. But my kid just told me that they're trans and I don't know what to do, but I remembered listening to you on the radio and you saying that you were trans. So could you just tell me what to do? Like, what do I say? And I like sat there and then I'm like, it was all worth it. If that's the one time someone ever tells me that it helped, it was worth it. And I kind of feel that way about running now. And I have the benefit and the privilege of saying I'm not the only trans girl running this for House this term. There are 4 of us in Michigan that are running.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's 3 of us in Metro Detroit and 1 of us more up here in the spicy part of the state. But yeah, there's 4 trans girls running for office this go around. We call ourselves the Dollhouse. And it's been amazing getting to meet them and talk to them and to know that we're not doing this alone helps so much. And ideally, yeah, at least one of us, preferably 4 of us, will win this go around, and we'll be able to, give some representation to a community that typically doesn't get very much. Although we certainly get way more spotlight than we probably need as a community.
Negative spotlight. Yes.
Unfortunately, yeah. We used to joke like, oh, we've got Trans Day of Visibility, and now the big joke in the trans community is like, man, when's Trans Day of Invisibility? I miss being invisible sometimes.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Well, just turning to sort of a different kind of facet of your background. So Jennifer and I get to talk to lots of candidates across the country. And a lot of them say they're not a traditional candidate, right? Like I would have said that too when I first ran. Like, I'm not a traditional candidate. I don't know what traditional is. Like, I don't know, 60-year-old white man lawyer, I guess, is traditional. But, but I'm not sure, but I think it's pretty safe to say that we haven't had many video game podcast hosts as candidates before. So though you're running in a very blue district, you still have to build support for the primary, right?
Yes,
I don't know if you have a primary challenge or not. Okay. And there's still time. I think it's April something is the deadline for filing. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how your career and ability to be a storyteller, like that experience, has helped you in this race so far, and what you would tell people who also need to build support and Blue Power, how to use their skills and their storytelling and their stories in particular in their own communities.
Yeah. So yes, I would definitely say I'm not a traditional candidate, but I think a lot of people, like you say, would say that. One of the things that actually drives me nuts is when people start off by going, I'm not a politician. Well, actually, you're running for office, so you are. By definition, you are now a politician. You may not have been a politician, but you are one now, and you should embrace that, because I don't want to elect a teacher to go be a politician. I don't want to elect a doctor to go be a politician. I want them to be teachers and doctors. I want to elect a politician to go be a politician. And I would like that politician to have varied backgrounds and different things that they know to bring that expertise. But ultimately, if you're running for office, you are a politician. So you should embrace that. Your job is, remember, to not go and just decide all the things. Your job is to represent your area. That is the literal definition of a state representative, right? So my background, though, as you say, is unusual for someone probably looking to run for office as a content creator, a performer, a storyteller. One of the things that I've done for years, I'm a huge Dungeons and Dragons geek. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I am the dungeon master, the D&D kind, not the good paying kind. But I am a professional DM. People do pay to play in my games and to have me tell a story to them effectively. But more importantly than that is the role of the DM isn't just to tell a story, it's to help the players tell their character's story. And the one thing that I have learned in doing that is everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a story to tell. They may not have the tools to tell it properly, but they have a story to tell. And one thing that drives me absolutely nuts about Republican messaging is when they go, "You're a snowflake. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not all about you. I'm sorry, your story doesn't matter." Wrong. We are a social species. We are a species that lives by storytelling. It is the oldest form of entertainment in the world for a reason. And we do thrive on our shared experiences as people. So being able to communicate your story and your words and your feelings into a way that inspires people is an absolutely incredible skill to have as a politician. But more importantly is your ability to help other people tell their stories and to help other people inspire and to help them get out there and say what matters to them and be a representative of what matters to them. That's what the real skill is there. So if you want my advice, go play some D&D. Go play any tabletop game. If D&D, if fantasy's not your thing, go play Cyberpunk if you want to do something futuristic. Go play Legend of the Five Rings if you want to do samurai. Like, whatever is interesting you, there is a tabletop setting for it. Go sit down with your friends, play some tabletop games, because all it is cooperative storytelling, and tell your story to people. And that will make you a better politician. That will make you a better person, because you will learn to relate to people's stories and learn, oh, maybe this is why you act this way, because you believe this thing, because this is the story that resonates with you. Mm-hmm. My favorite story to tell of all time is the last bastion of light against the darkness. I love telling the stories of the world that has almost fallen to darkness, and that last little spark of light then ignites into the new dawn. I never dreamed I'd be living it, but here we are. Mm-hmm. We are the last spark of light, trying to keep the wave of fascism, darkness, whatever you want to call it, from overwhelming us all. But it is an incredibly powerful tale, and we get to live it right now. We get to stand for it right now and see who's willing to put their money where their mouth is, or in a lot of cases, their body where their mouth is. It's time, everyone. Stand up, be strong, be brave, and know that you're not alone in it, even though they make you feel like you are. I was out at Coolidge and 10 Mile today protesting with a group of about 40 people, and it was freezing cold, but there was still cold. 40 of us out there protesting today. I promise, no matter where you are not alone.
That, yeah, that's one thing that, like, I would say, like, all three of us and so many other people, I can just think of thousands and thousands, are that bastion of light. You know, we're all part of that. And I was talking to my kids this morning because we usually do a service project on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we didn't today. My husband took the kids skiing, and I'm here working. And so I was explaining to my son that, we weren't doing one today, and he's like, but we always do. And I'm like, Mom's doing a service project every day at this point. Listen, so I don't need to. And he's like, I don't know, he said something else, and I'm like, I want to know that when the history books are written, that I'm in there as the good guy. And he's like, your name's not going to be in the history book. Nobody knows who you are. I'm like, that's not what I mean. I don't care if my name is in it. I want to know that when they're talking about the women who resisted and the people who resisted Trump and the people, I know I'm part of that group, and my kids will know and my grandkids will know. And so I want to be part of that bastion of light myself.
We all have that opportunity right now, and it doesn't always mean being out protesting when the wind chill is -20. So you say that your kids and your husband went skiing today?
Yeah, they're crazy. I know.
Good. They're living their life still. When the world is on fire, they are still finding a way to not give in to fear. They're still not giving into darkness. They are going out and living their lives still. And that too is resistance. Now, of course, where you can be active and proactive in standing against darkness, you do so. And where you can't, just keep living your life, because that matters too. Rest up. Be ready to fight another day, because there may come a day where the weight is too heavy on my shoulders and I don't have it in me to get up and say something inspirational, and I need you to do it that day. Whatever resistance looks like to you, do it.
Yeah, that takes me back to something else you said about just raising your hand and being the person to stand up and do something. And that's like, I see a lot of on social media, like, oh, the Democratic Party, it's just a mess and it doesn't do this and it doesn't do that. Then join. Or I see, progressives, in our community, and Sarah and I both consider ourselves progressives, but we also live in a purple district.
Right.
And I see people like, oh, they'll never do this, or they'll never do that. Like, you can push them to do more. You just can't cancel them because they don't do as much as you want them to. So, like, if you want your local party or your state party to do more, to be more progressive, join, influence it, stand up, be that person that raises your hand, or don't complain because you're not doing anything about it.
I'm here to tell you right now, I don't think there's a single county party in this entire state where if you and like 19, 20 other progressives joined, you wouldn't tip the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be like, if your one vocal voice can tip the balance a lot of the time. The LGBTQI rights committee was basically defunct until I joined it. And I have a wonderful vice chair, co-chair, Sarah Hayes, who helps me with it now. And the two of us have basically brought it back out of obscurity. And that's just two people. Like, you can make a difference in so many different ways if you're willing to stand up and put your voice out there and raise your hand.
Yeah. I would also say, and also not be paralyzed by perfection, right? You have to move forward. You might not know, like the one through line in all of your stories, Callie, is that you move forward even if you don't have like perfect knowledge, perfect skills, perfect background, but you're just going to raise your hand, you're going to step forward, you're going to move in that direction. Sometimes not encumbered by what other people think is possible. And I just love that. I love hearing that in your story.
Yeah, you can't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Like, and it's so easy to do, right? It's so easy to say, oh, we're fixing this thing. We have to fix it and make it perfect. And that's, like I said earlier, it is hard to help everyone, but it's not hard to help someone. And helping someone is a worthwhile endeavor.
Absolutely.
I also heard a recent quote that somebody said that, so like, perfection is the enemy of good, which, you know, I've heard that before, but they went on to say, but perfection can also be the ally of evil. If you're so worried about being perfect that you don't vote for the good or you don't support the good, well, then evil can win, just like we saw in 2024.
I think we see it a lot with the healthcare debate, right? You know, people talk about Medicare for all or single payer healthcare, which, I'm in support of universal healthcare, obviously. And so many people are like, but there could be people who abuse it. Yes, there could. It's not going to be perfect. But if some people abuse it and we help millions of other people in the process, that is a worthwhile endeavor. Right. That is ethical. Like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Some people will abuse it. No matter what system you put out there, some people are going to abuse it. That is the nature of us as humans. We see everything as a game and as a puzzle. Like, if it is a puzzle to be solved, we will try to solve it. But you cannot let the fear of some people abusing it stop you from helping the majority.
Yeah, very much agree on that.
So I'm going to take us to our last question, which is always kind of a fun sort of icebreaker-ish, get to know us a little deeper question.
Okay.
Today's question's a little selfish because I am very cold today. And
I just like the idea of doing an icebreaker these days.
Right, exactly.
I think we're all about breaking ice
up, then let's do it. I'm feeling very cold today, and today's one of those days where, like, I start complaining about why the hell do I live in a state that makes my face hurt when I walk outside? Why do I make this choice?
The weather outside is disrespectful today.
It's outrageous. It is outrageous. And so my question to you both, sort of a silly question, is what's good about it? Like, what's good about
what's good about Michigan or good about cold?
What's good about a cold, super cold, like, help me get through this really cold day by telling me what's good about such a freezing, frigid January day.
Okay, so this is, I don't get it today because my family all left me, which I'm fine with because the idea of having my house to myself also is amazing. I love a good cold day when I have my boys make a fire in the fireplace and maybe we're watching football or maybe we're reading books or whatever, just like a whole day of us sitting in the living room. Everybody can do what they want, but we've got comfort food and warm drinks and that fire in the fireplace, and the wind can do whatever it wants outside. That is like my happy place.
That sounds nice.
Similarly, I think for me, because I don't want to go outside. Like, I barely like going outside when it's nice out. In the wintertime, no, I'm not big. I wasn't a big like hockey player. I love watching hockey. I'm not a big hockey player or anything like that. But I will tell you what, hot chocolate and a bowl of chili when it is cold outside,
That
slaps.
sounds perfect.
Like so when I moved out of my parents' house, my dad was like, you need to learn to cook a few things at least. You need to have some dishes in your back pocket. This is before I came out, so he was still thinking like your son's leaving the house. They need to be able to cook something. So he taught me how to make meatloaf. He taught me how to make chili. He taught me how to make a good pasta sauce. And he taught me how to properly make a steak. And he's like, okay, you can now do these 4 things. You may leave the house. You're fine to go now.
You graduate.
And I have kept that. When I first met Sarah, and she was like, do you know how to cook? And I was like, I do know how to cook. As a matter of fact, I hope that there are 4 dishes that you need made, because those are the 4 I can make. And chili was the first one where she had it and just looked at me and she was like, oh, that's really good. And I'm like, nailed it. And to this day, I love making chili. So a good bowl of hot chili and some hot chocolate is that's a good place to be.
I'm gonna add that to my menu for next week. I think a nice pot. I always make too much chili. I always make
Absolutely,
so much freaking chili.
Because chili is better on day 2 and 3.
But
it gets better the longer it goes.
Leftover. There are so many foods that we make, and my husband, love him to death. He can cook, and he likes to cook, and he's been doing a lot of it. But also sometimes it's like, I mean, I'll eat this because you made it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then there's leftovers, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that's a bridge too far.
Look, I'm a Michigander. I'm going to eat the food put in front of me. Like, I'm polite. But yeah, no, leftovers, those are yours, or they're going in the garbage.
Yeah. But not the case for chili. You're right. It's better day 2.
Chili and pasta, right? Those are the 2. They get better the longer it goes.
I don't know. Chili day 3 and 4 is kind of got its own challenges, but that's when you freeze the chili or start giving it away.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I was thinking about this earlier because I am so cold today, but I feel like one thing that's good about it is we get the benefit living through winter of like those first days of spring, right? Like, to me, it's like taking not having to be weighed down by a coat and just going outside. One of those first days where you go outside and you don't have that winter coat on, and it's like, you know, it's psychosomatic, but you feel like 30 pounds lighter. Right?
The first day that you put the windows down in the car when you're driving, that is a special. I tell people ask me, like, you know, what's your favorite like traditions or things? Like, it was like one of those things when I was first starting to be a candidate where they're like, you should be able to tell someone like what your favorite, you know, time of the year is. And my favorite one is the first televised baseball game of the year. I always go buy a pack of bratwurst and do them on the grill. I don't care if it's still 35 out. I do them on the grill, and I get a Guinness, and I enjoy a bratwurst and a Guinness, and I watch the baseball game, the first one of the year. That is like my favorite, like, oh, spring is upon us kind of moment. Yes. And there is a seldom found better feeling in the world.
Yeah. And those days where the roll the window down days, I feel like people are happier. Like, they hold the doors open for each other more. It's just like,
it's like a couple of days before Christmas randomly. When people are just like, Merry Christmas. Hold the door for you.
Yes, exactly.
And we get the benefit of that extreme by living through this ridiculous cold and
whenever I visit like a warm place and I see people just walking around, I'm like, none of you know what you have. You do not appreciate this.
My grandparents owned a condo down in Florida for years, and they would go down for the winter. And you'd go down and it's like it's like 60 degrees. People are wearing winter coats, and it's just like, you don't even know. You don't even know. Don't pretend like you know.
We're wearing shorts in 60.
Yes, exactly. I'm like getting my swimsuit on. They're like, oh, tourist.
We actually did that. We were the only family at one of the Disney water parks one day. Because we paid for that vacation and it was like 55 degrees, 60 degrees. And we're we don't care. We're going.
For what it costs to go to Disney World these days, you better believe.
Well, thank you so much, Callie, for joining us. I know you wanted to plug the
Yes.
drag queen. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I've been podcasting since 2006. I don't get to do it as much anymore, but it's always like it feels like coming home in a way to come home and get back on the microphone. But yes. I said, and I promised at the very beginning of my campaign that I wasn't going to take any corporate money, and there are days where I look back at that decision and go, "Oh man, I probably shouldn't have said that so quickly."
Made it a little harder on myself.
Made it a lot harder on myself because it is weird how easily they will just give you money. Like it's a little creepy, right? How willing they are to just write you a check, and you're like, okay, I don't like that. But I have stuck to it, and I'm not taking any corporate money. That said, that means that most of my job these days is either doing podcasts, going to protests, shaking hands, or begging for money. To that end, at the end of this month, January 31st at 11 a.m., we're going to be doing a drag queen bingo brunch. It's going to be at 215 West in Ferndale. And we have the incredible performers of 515 in Royal Oak coming to entertain us. We're going to have mimosas. We're going to have a catered brunch. We're going to play some bingo and win some silly door prizes. Probably get roasted by the drag queens. I'm telling them to roast my ass. I don't care. I want them to come with me with like everything they got. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have so much fun. Tickets are available, are on sale now. So please, if you're interested, it would support my campaign. It would support, a fresh voice in government. If you've liked the things that you've heard today, even if you're not in my district, I'm hopefully going to be serving in the majority with your candidate. So please, if you're able to buy a ticket and come out and support me that day, I'd love to see everyone there. And if you do, please tell me that you saw it on this show and were like, you wanted to come support. So I'd love to get a chance to talk to you. Saturday, January 31st at 11 a.m., 215 West in Ferndale, and I will provide them with the links and everything so that they can click and you can click and get a ticket. Please come out, support. We'd love to see you there.
Awesome. And Callie, can you tell us where people can find out more about you?
Yes, please. The best way to find me on social media is on Facebook. If you look up Callie Scales on Facebook, you'll either find my main account or more likely my political one at this point. So you can find me there. You can also find me at votecalliescales.com. And you can also always reach out to me if you have like a personal question for me at votecalliescales@gmail.com. It's all pretty easy to keep track of.
Awesome. Sarah, we might have to check our calendars and plan a road trip.
I know. I mean, I was interested when it was drag queen bingo, but then she said mimosas. And
Mimosa. Uh-huh.
So
it's going to be amazing. And
awesome.
it's right in the heart of downtown Ferndale. It's going to be so much fun. It's amazing.
That's so great. It'll be so much fun. Well, Callie, thanks again so much for coming, and to all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in again. Again, this is the Beyond Resistance pod, where we share hard-won insights to build blue power in red communities and start winning. And you can find us at beyondresistancepod.com and also anywhere you usually get your podcasts. So thanks again.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You can listen to the Beyond Resistance podcast on all major platforms. Leave us a review to boost this episode and help us reach more blue dots and red seas. Follow us on social media and like, share, comment to increase our reach. Subscribe to our Patreon and gain access to our private Discord channel and make monetary donations of support through Venmo. You can find all of this and more at beyondresistancepod.com. Beyond Resistance is a Beyond Resistance LLC production. Producers Jennifer Austin and Sarah Schulz. Editing Jennifer Austin. Theme song We Run the Room by Shadow Kitten.